Hey guys, today we're going to continue our series on communication, and we're going to do that by going into friendships and workplace. I'm going to put those two parts together because friendship is really not that much different from relationships. The only difference may be honestly more leeway, wiggle room, maybe more space can actually help the situation, because this is not someone that you're living with or in a relationship with. So your expectation is a little lower. Yes, they're friends, but you understand that they have their own lives, they have their own relationships that they have to nurture. So you kind of take the back seat a bit. And because of that, the expectation is a little lower. So for example, you may fall out with your best friend or your bestie, and you may go 2 months without speaking to them, and that's kind of okay or accepted. Whereas in a relationship, that definitely is not going to fly. So another difference would be you would hope that your friend already knows your triggers because they've seen it play out. Dealing with friends, there's understanding first that everyone has their own lives, everyone's doing their own thing. So you have to be reasonable in that sense. Honesty is definitely important in both, but you have to be honest with your friend, let them know straight up how you're feeling. And you hope that they do the same for you, clearly. Friendship should just be easier because, again, you're coming from a place where you already know this person. You've already seen things. You've probably seen them at their worst or at their best. So you kind of already know what to expect. Only when there's drama or issues, like I said, you will definitely give them more time to get over things, process things. You still want to hold them accountable. You still want to give feedback. Timing is also very important. Upholding the promises that you guys make to each other clearly is important. So relationships and friendships are kind of very similar, just a tad bit different. And I've already just went over that difference. The only other thing that I could think of, I guess if there's a 3-party situation in a friendship where there's 3 mutual friends, 2 are not speaking and the other one is kind of in the middle. So you would just deal with that by, again, being honest, staying true to who you are, and understanding that just because I'm the person that is in the middle doesn't mean that I have to carry information or news to one party over the other and be a middleman, literally. You understand the need to mind your business in that situation and let the 2 individuals who are feuding deal with that. As the third friend, you may try to be peacekeeper, but guess what? After that first attempt of being peacekeeper, if it ain't working, it's not going to work. And you need to get out of there, mind your business, drink your water, and pray for them to make peace with each other. You may have to hang out with them separately for a little while, but again, it's not being involved and communicating that to them. So if I am in that position where I'm the middleman and 2 of my friends are beefing, and now that messes up our brunch date, I may brunch with 2 of them individually, the other 2 individually, and as such, if I hear any of them talking crap about the other one, I'm going to communicate and say, listen, I'm in the middle. You know, I'm your girl, I'm her girl, and so I'm not getting involved in y'all drama. because both of y'all are tripping. And I'm going to be the person to try and keep the peace. But if I can't, hey, look, I tried and I'm not getting involved in that. So let's change the subject and talk about somebody else or something else. How you doing? So that's the only communication I can see that's a little bit random. Other than that, I don't see that much difference between relationships and friendships, honestly. Let's move on to communication in the workplace. Communication in the workplace is very different. Reason being, it's multifaceted. It has different layers. Because there is a layer of professional goals. There is decency in the workplace and procedures and policies and regulations. And then there's also the employee as an individual and the employer as an individual. And there's the overall goals of the company. So like the mission goals. So there are different layers to that, which makes it complex and very complicated, especially in situations where you are dealing with a work environment that has 10 plus different people, 10 plus different personalities. And you're going to use those different layers to come to a sort of level of expectation. So let's try to unravel these layers. So first we have the overall company. The overall company has their goal, their mission statement, what they're all about. Are they a faith-based practice? Are they for community and collaboration? Are they for health, partnership? Are they about wealth? What are their overall standards and promises to the clientele? Because that ties into how you have to behave in the workplace. So communication will depend on that. So there's less freedom there to just do whatever you want to do. You have to make sure it aligns with the company's overall goals, and at the same time not losing yourself and not allowing yourself to be disrespected. Next thing we have to unravel is, what are the rules? What can I get in trouble for doing? That's important to know. Is this a company that has an open door policy where I can freely express how I'm feeling at any moment of the day to my higher ups? And what is the chain of command? What is the chain of communication for that as well? Do I go straight to my supervisor, or do I just go to my director who's above the supervisor because I'm having trouble with my supervisor? Do I go beyond that to HR because I'm having trouble with my director? You have to understand the hierarchy in the company that you work for, the chain of command, the chain of communication. Who are you supposed to report to, and who's above them? You need to know who's above them and below them. And you need to know who's above and below everybody, so you know who to contact. And whoever you're having problems with, you look for their position, their title, and you report to the person above that. So that's important to know when you have to communicate an issue or your feelings in the workplace. Again, format, delivery of your message. You have to know if the email is sufficient for this situation, Or maybe I need an in-person sit down. Maybe I don't need to sit down. Maybe I just need to say it at a team meeting. Maybe I just need to pull my manager to the side. Another aspect of delivery is if you're dealing with other employees. So if I'm having problems with my coworker and not my boss, maybe I don't want to send an email. Maybe I don't want to even have a formal sit down conversation or meeting with all kinds of people. Maybe I just need to have make a casual statement or have a casual talk that's informal. Hey, look, I noticed that I've done the last 4 patients and I haven't seen you put your name on any of the patients coming to the back of the ER. So is there anything going on with you? You good? You know, because I'm struggling here. If you could kind of chip in and help out, I'd appreciate it. Maybe it might be enough to get them on it. Maybe you want to be a little stern in your message, and if this is something that they do all the time, you may want to say, hey, look, I noticed you doing this and you've been doing this the last 3 weeks. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not here by myself. You know, we're a team. We're supposed to work like a team. And I need you to help me help you help these patients. You never know. They might break down. They might be going through it. They also may be just lazy. And again, that situation would probably call for you to document and keep personal track of that. Talk to them casually. Try to. You have to make an attempt. See, the thing with workplace is you just follow the steps until you have to go to the higher ups. And you remind yourself, look, I exhausted all avenues before I came to the higher ups. So I gave you an opportunity to get your stuff together. And clearly it's not important enough for you to do that. So, and it's okay to say that. Another thing is you may see that there's certain cliques in the workplace that may discourage you. Don't let that discourage you, because at the end of the day, again, when we're talking about rules and regulations, there's certain rules and regulations involved, codes of conduct that are involved in every single company and workplace that are there to protect you against those horrible environments where everybody's clicking and you feel like you can't say anything because they're friends with the boss who's friends with this person, and everybody's friends except you, and they all hang out together and I don't. I just come in and do my job. You are still protected. Again, go through the chain of command and go through the steps appropriately. When it comes to communication in the workplace, let's take the same example that I mentioned earlier about the coworker that is slacking. Again, you've already addressed them personally, and now it's time to go to the boss. You can be specific, give specific times that this occurred. This is what I would do. I would list out specific times that this occurred, mention that I've already spoken to the individual, my coworker, about the issue of their slacking, and try to ask for any specific reasons. and it's been to no avail. So I'm reaching out to you because it's something that affects the patient. This affects the patient, this affects our clientele, it affects our turnaround time. So when you speak in that way, you have to tell and let the company know, how does this issue affect their revenue directly? How does it affect our business? Because if it's something personal that you guys just don't like each other, they're not going to be inclined to really do anything about that, and it's gonna also make you look bad in the process. Find a way, and there's always a way. Trust me, I'll help you come up with a way. There's always a way that a negative behavior in the workplace is directly tied in to the client. It's directly tied into how it can ruin this company. And so and you have to sound like that concerned person to say, I am the concerned coworker that I care about this company enough to know that this is not aligned with the bylaws of the company. This affects the client directly, which thus can affect and hurt us with surveys. So that's when they'll listen, yeah? And they'll put it on their priority. And even if, because most of these bosses and everything, you guys already know each other, and they probably know, like, oh, please, she's so full of it, but you already wrote it in the email. See, this is where the email comes in handy, because it is traced, right? And it is traced, and you use the work email clearly, and you put that there, because now it's in your file, so they can't even delete it. It's in your file. You save it, put it in your task folder, whatever you need to do to come back to it later. I don't care if it's in there for years and it never comes up. You save every form of communication that deals with work in your work email. You never delete it. I don't care how full your box is getting. Save those emails and those messages. You save their responses to you, because they have to respond, they have to reply. And if I've had situations where the boss has replied to me personally and not through email, it's not gonna work. What you need to do then is you send a follow-up email and say, okay, well, as we discussed earlier today in our sit-down meeting, I just want to make sure it's documented that we discuss X, Y, and Z moving forward. As we discussed in the meeting we had today with the two of us, that this is the expectation. We are expected to do just as much amount of work as the next person, and at no point in time are we to be slacking, whatever the case may be. We also addressed that if there's any issues that we have personally, that we'll inform our coworker, and that it will not exceed X, Y, Z, whatever it is you guys come up with, whatever compromise, whatever was said. Don't let it be anything off the record. You put it back on the record, and you put the email, you send it, you CC and BCC everybody, okay? And you say, these people were here as we discussed, and you put your delivery confirmation, your read receipt. Do all of that. And for those that don't know, CC is when you CC everybody and they can see it. BCC, they're oblivious to it. They don't know who all has seen this or who all has been said. When you put someone's name in BCC, sometimes you may do that. Your blind carbon copy. So I may send my boss an email, but they don't know that I BCC'd their boss. That may need to happen in extreme circumstances, especially if it's your word against everybody else's and you can't figure out for the life of you like how to get around this. Or you may want to BCC HR. You gotta do what you gotta do to keep your job. Because then They can't just ignore it and say, oh, I never got an email. Oh, who didn't get no email? So it's your proof. You have to be smart. You have to think ahead. And you have to think about what could this person potentially do to discredit me in any way, if there's that tension already there. And then sometimes you may have a situation where you can kind of be more lenient, and you may not need to use the BCC. The BCC is a last resort, people, and it is in those dire situations. But if not, a simple email will suffice. And anytime your boss says, okay, I'll follow up with you in 2 weeks about that. Give me some time, give me 2 weeks, I'll follow up. Use your email to your advantage. Use these programs on your computers that you work at to your advantage. Go in your calendar, put it in your email as a reminder. There's the reminder tab. You can remind yourself in 2 weeks about this specific email and put a star on it and come back and said, and that way you know, look, it's been 2 weeks. I know you, and guess what? You reply under the same email because you want them to be able to scroll up and see, oh yes, I did say that. Because a lot of these bosses are all over the place. They're working at different locations. They don't remember. They're going to say, oh, I don't remember telling you that I did. And it's your word against theirs. Be smart. Be diligent. Don't look like you're being a troublemaker. Just look like you're trying to be factual and be diligent. This is all, again, for the clients, for the patients, for us as a team to build and bond. And it's okay for you to say that and always express that in the email. They can't touch you in that situation because you're already putting the intent in there. Because someone might say, oh, she's just trying to start trouble. No. You put your intent in the email too. That's okay. You could even say, what I used to do is say, look, I don't want to sound like I am fixated on this issue, but it does really matter when it comes to the clients, when it comes to the patients, and how we have a more streamlined operation in our area, in our department. And I just want to make sure that we're all chipping in and doing what needs to be done to make everything easier for everyone. It's okay to say that. Or this is really an important matter, you know, because we're the ones as the employees here day to day, day in and day out, that have to relate and correspond with each other. So this is very important for us to fix and deal with. And I understand that you're busy. I understand that you guys have a hectic schedule going all around the place as directors of different organizations, different hospitals, whatever the case may be. But this is an important situation and issue for this department, because it's not the first time it's happened. It's happened numerous times, and we just need to come to a mutual understanding where the whole team is on the same ball field. We're on the same level of understanding. And I guarantee you, they will bring it up in those little team meetings. They will bring it up and do an overview because they have to. Just like you're supposed to look, you trying to look good, they trying to look good too. So put that on them, because you've already done your part as an employee. Your only job, if anything, is to be it's a term that I used to use all the time when I used to teach my team. I don't even remember. Oh, what is the term I used to use? You want to show, what it is you want to, it's conflict resolution. You want, the only job you may have as an employee, and this is only with certain companies, is they're looking to see if you can handle things on your own with your team first before you come to management. That looks good for you. That will be something that goes good on your evaluations, is how you're able to handle things in their absence, especially if you have management or leaders that are not always there. It's important for them to know that when we leave, you got this, like you could handle it. And if need be, you have difficulty with a coworker, we want to make sure, we want to know that you guys can tackle this together and figure it out, versus running to us every 5 seconds about every little thing. Oh, there's never any paper. This person never puts paper. They don't put paper in the printer. It's not fair because I'm always one to put the paper in the printer. Get out of our office with that nonsense. Like, there are certain things that you as an individual are supposed to be strong enough to handle on your own within your team. So that is an expectation that they may have for you. Most jobs will have that for you, even if they don't mention it, they do. And you'll normally notice in the interview process, they'll ask you those kind of questions, like, what would you do if this happens? So, and I'll help you with that too. That'll be another series about job offers and resumes and and interviews. But yes, it's important for them to know that you can do conflict resolution on your own first before you involve us. Once you've done that and you've made that attempt on your own, then you can set yourself up to then approach them and say, listen, I've already done conflict resolution with the individual. I've already talked to them about slacking and we've had no progress. So this is why I'm including you, because it needs to stop and we need to figure it out. All of us together. All of us together. Teamwork. Even if you don't mean it, just trust me on this. Just say it. It's for us to be a team, because that's what they want to see. They want to see that you know the codes and bylaws. You know our mission statement. You know what we're looking for and the kind of employees that we're looking for. You're living up to whatever you said in those interviews when we hired you, that you can handle anything. We want to know, and we want you to put your money where your mouth is and show us that you weren't BSing, that you actually know how to relate and correspond with other individuals with different personalities. And so you always have to make an attempt. It doesn't have to be over and over, but you at least need to make it at least once to save yourself. And then you reference that one time, the specifics of that, what you did, what was said, what was the end result. Clearly there's nothing that was not good. So where do we go from here? Now I need your assistance. And they have to act on that. And once they act on that, if you notice, like, okay, they slack again, the boss says whatever and doesn't uphold to that, it's all BS because they haven't done anything about it up to now. You keep track of that as well. Maybe after the third occurrence, you may circle back and send an email now, right? Because we've done this back and forth talking and all this pleasantries. I'm going to send an email now and said, just letting you know that it happened again today. This will be the 4th time it's occurred. And I know the first time I did conflict resolution. The second and third time, we all huddled together, where maybe the second time you as a boss talked to them, or you told me that you had to talk with them. The third time now, we all sat together and had a powwow or a huddle, and we talked about it, and it's still occurring because this is the fourth occurrence. Now it's in email form. It's documented all 4 times there in the email that you're going to save. Depending on how drastic things are, you may be CC someone above them, maybe, if you feel like you're at your wit's end. But first, try to resolve it with your immediate boss first, out of professional consideration. It's going to look better for you when you do that, because then when they circle back to trace the steps, they're going to see, oh, you did try to resolve it with the boss alone, and you weren't kind of like going behind their back doing anything shady. And here it is, you're still having issues. So yes, you're going to be well within your right now to go a step above. And that's okay. But you have to show enough proof that you've tried to deal with this at those basic levels first. And I guarantee you, once it gets to the boss's boss, it's pretty much gonna be handled, because they don't want it to get any higher than that. They don't even want it to get to their boss. So usually the supervisor knows that once you start sending those emails and it's documented, they know the power of emails. They're inundated with emails every day that they have to respond to. So email is a big deal in corporate America. So they know when you start sending emails about stuff, they gotta take care of it, because they gotta cover their own butt. And better, I bet you they're saving their responses that they took care of whatever you complained about on their end. They're saving their emails to prove that, oh yeah, I did fix that. I have the email here in my folder. They have folders, so don't be foolish. Get yourself some folders too. Sort yourself out that you can find what you need to find if need be. Because again, it's a balance of understanding, but at the same time needing to find results. It's about resolutions, because this is, at the end of the day, a company. It's a business, so anything personal is not even supposed to be involved. But it's modern times now. We understand people are individuals. Sometimes personal things do get the best of us, and we understand that. So it's us being understanding, but at the same time knowing what we're here to do. What's the ultimate goal?